Welcome back. Tonight, we're traveling far back in time to a place that many people imagine as exciting, romantic, and full of adventure. But as you'll soon discover, the reality of life in the Middle Ages was far less glamorous than the movies often suggest. So, settle into your bed, relax your shoulders, and allow yourself to drift slowly into a distant world of stone castles, muddy roads, cold nights, and endless hard work. Imagine that you have somehow traveled back nearly 800 years. You open your eyes before sunrise. There is no alarm clock, no comfortable mattress, and certainly no central heating. Instead, you wake up on a rough straw mattress inside a small wooden house. The air is cold. The room smells of smoke, damp wood, and farm animals. Outside, the world is still dark. You pull yourself up slowly, already feeling exhausted despite having just woken up. Around you, other family members are beginning to stir. Privacy, as we understand it today, simply doesn't exist. Entire families often sleep in a single room. As you step outside, the morning air bites at your face. The ground beneath your feet is wet and muddy. There are no paved roads here, just dirt paths, animal waste, and puddles left behind by yesterday's rain. The village itself is quiet, except for the distant sounds of livestock and the occasional barking dog. You quickly realize your first major problem: breakfast. Unfortunately, breakfast in medieval Europe isn't exactly what modern travelers would hope for. There are no eggs and bacon waiting for you, no fresh coffee, no pastries. Instead, breakfast often consists of coarse bread, perhaps some porridge, and if you're particularly fortunate, a small amount of cheese. You eat slowly because food is precious. In fact, almost everything in your new medieval life revolves around one thing: survival. As the sun slowly rises above the horizon, your day of labor begins. If you're an ordinary peasant, and most people were, your life is defined by work. Endless work. Back-breaking work, the kind of work that starts before sunrise and often ends long after sunset. You spend hours working in fields, digging, planting, harvesting, carrying heavy loads. There are no tractors, no machines, no labor laws, and certainly no weekends. The sun climbs higher into the sky. Sweat forms on your forehead despite the cold morning air. Your hands ache, your back hurts, and yet everyone around you simply continues working because they have no choice. As you look around, you notice that many people appear older than they actually are. A person who is only 30 years old may already look elderly due to years of difficult labor, poor nutrition, and constant hardship. You begin to understand that surviving here isn't simply difficult, it's exhausting. By midday, you finally stop working long enough to eat another small meal. Once again, the menu is less than exciting. More bread, perhaps some vegetables if the harvest was good. Meat is rare, and often reserved for special occasions. As you eat, you listen to the conversations around you. People speak quietly about the weather, about crops, about taxes, and about disease. Disease is everywhere. There are no antibiotics, no modern hospitals, no understanding of germs. Even a small infection could become life-threatening. Something as simple as a cut on your hand might eventually kill you. You glance at your own hands and suddenly become very aware of every scratch and blister. The afternoon arrives, bringing even more work. The fields stretch endlessly before you. The sun begins to descend. Your muscles burn. Your feet ache. And still, the work continues. Eventually, the church bells ring in the distance. At last, the day's labor is over. Slowly, the villagers begin making their way home. Smoke rises from chimneys. Children run through muddy streets. Dogs bark somewhere in the distance. The sky changes color. Orange, then purple, then black. Back inside your small house, a fire crackles softly. The room is dimly lit by candlelight. There is no television, no internet, no electricity. Only silence and exhaustion. You sit quietly for a moment and reflect on everything you've experienced during this single day. The cold, the hunger, the endless labor, the uncertainty. And then a strange realization settles over you. You've only survived one day. Tomorrow, you'll have to do it all over again. As darkness slowly covered the village, you realized that surviving even one day here was far more difficult than you had ever imagined. As darkness slowly covered the village, you realized that surviving even one day here was far more difficult than you had ever imagined. But the Middle Ages had very little sympathy for exhausted travelers. Long before the sun rises, you awaken once again. Not because you feel rested, not because you slept well, but because somewhere outside a rooster is crowing, dogs are barking, and members of your household are already moving around in the darkness. For a few brief moments, you forget where you are. Then the smell reminds you. Smoke, damp straw, wet clothing, and the faint but unmistakable smell of farm animals. Welcome to another day in medieval Europe. You sit up slowly on your straw mattress. Every muscle in your body aches from yesterday's work. Your back feels stiff, your hands are sore, even your feet hurt. In the modern world, you might call in sick. You might stay home, drink some tea, and rest. Unfortunately, medieval peasants did not have sick days. If you don't work, you don't eat. And if you don't eat, your problems become much worse very quickly. The room around you is still dark. A small fire burns weakly in the corner. Family members quietly prepare for another day of labor. Nobody complains. Nobody asks if they're tired. Being tired is simply part of life. You step outside. The early air is freezing. A thick fog hangs over the village. Tiny droplets of moisture settle on your clothes and skin. In the distance, you hear church bells ringing softly through the mist. the village slowly comes to life. Farmers gather their tools. Women carry buckets of water. Children, some no older than 7 or 8, prepare to work alongside adults. This surprises you. In your world, childhood is a time for school, games, and growing up. In medieval Europe, childhood often ends very early. Children work. Children help raise livestock. Children gather firewood. And sometimes children do dangerous jobs because every member of the family is needed to survive. As the sun finally begins to rise, you realize another uncomfortable truth. You haven't bathed. Actually, nobody around you seems particularly interested in bathing. This may sound strange to modern ears, but regular bathing was uncommon for many medieval Europeans. Access to clean water varied greatly, and some people believed that frequent bathing could actually make you sick. As a result, personal hygiene standards were very different from what you're accustomed to. You try not to think about it too much. Unfortunately, your nose refuses to cooperate. Soon, the work begins again. Today's task involves repairing fences around nearby farmland. At first, this sounds easier than yesterday's work. It isn't. The wood is heavy. The tools are primitive, and every task takes far longer than you expect. Hours pass. The sun climbs higher into the sky. Your hands develop new blisters. Sweat drips down your face. Meanwhile, the villagers around you continue working with remarkable determination. You begin to understand something important. The people of the Middle Ages were incredibly resilient. They had to be. Every day brought uncertainty. A failed harvest could mean starvation. A harsh winter could kill entire families. A disease outbreak could destroy a village. There were no safety nets, no insurance, no emergency services, only survival. Around midday, you stop briefly to eat. Today's meal consists of dark bread, onions, and a thin vegetable stew. You eat slowly, not because the food is delicious, but because there isn't much of it. As you sit quietly, an older villager begins telling stories. He speaks of famine years. He speaks of wars. He speaks of plague. Nobody laughs. Nobody interrupts, because everyone knows these stories are true. In medieval life, disaster is never far away. As the afternoon continues, dark clouds begin gathering overhead. Within an hour, rain starts falling. Not a gentle rain, a cold, relentless rain. There are no waterproof jackets, no heated vehicles waiting nearby. You simply continue working. The mud grows deeper. Your clothes become soaked. Your hands become numb. And still, nobody stops. Eventually, as evening approaches, the rain finally ends. The village returns home in silence. Smoke rises once more from small houses. The smell of cooking fires fills the air. For dinner, there is more bread, more stew, and a small amount of cheese shared among several people. You eat gratefully, not because the meal is satisfying, but because hunger is worse. Later, as darkness covers the village once again, you sit beside the fire. The flames flicker softly. Outside, the wind whistles through the wooden walls. You think about your modern life: electricity, warm showers, comfortable beds, medicine, supermarkets. Suddenly, all of those things feel extraordinary. You realized that surviving in the Middle Ages required strength, endurance, and a tolerance for hardship that most modern people have never needed to develop. As the cold wind swept through the narrow streets, you quietly wondered what challenges tomorrow would bring. As the cold wind swept through the narrow streets, you quietly wondered what challenges tomorrow would bring. Unfortunately, medieval life always had another challenge waiting. When you wake up the next morning, your first sensation is hunger. Not the mild hunger you might feel after skipping breakfast in the modern world. This is a deeper, more persistent hunger. The kind of hunger that follows people every day, lingering quietly in the background of their lives. Outside, the sky is gray. The village looks exactly as it did yesterday. The muddy roads, the wooden houses, the smoke drifting from chimneys, and the endless work waiting to be done. But today, your thoughts are focused on one particular question. What exactly did people in the Middle Ages eat? The answer, unfortunately, is not especially exciting. Modern grocery stores offer thousands of choices. Medieval villagers had very few. For most ordinary people, bread was the foundation of life. Breakfast was bread. Lunch was bread. Dinner was usually bread accompanied by whatever else happened to be available. Sometimes there was porridge, sometimes onions, sometimes cabbage, and occasionally, if fortune smiled upon you, there might be a small amount of cheese or fish. Fresh fruit was seasonal, sugar was a luxury, and meat was something many peasants ate only on special occasions. As you walk toward the fields, you pass a small group of villagers preparing their morning meal. A large pot hangs above a fire. Inside, a thin stew slowly bubbles. The ingredients are simple: water, vegetables, a few herbs, and hope. Because in medieval Europe, cooking often involved making the most of very little. You accept a small wooden bowl of stew. The taste is not terrible, but neither is it memorable. It fills your stomach, and in this world, that is often enough. As the morning continues, you begin to notice something else. Everyone around you talks about food. Not recipes, not restaurants, not favorite dishes. They talk about survival. Will the harvest be good this year? Will the weather remain favorable? Will there be enough grain stored for winter? These questions determined everything. A single failed harvest could mean starvation for an entire community. And failed harvests happened more often than anyone wanted. You suddenly understand why medieval people worried so much. Their lives depended almost entirely on forces they could not control. Rain, drought, disease, war, bad luck. Everything mattered. As the hours pass, you work alongside farmers harvesting grain. The work is repetitive. Cut, gather, carry, repeat, again and again and again. There is no background music, no podcasts, no smartphones, only the sounds of wind, animals, and human effort. The sun slowly rises higher. Your back begins to ache once more. You try to calculate how many hours remain before sunset. Then you realize something uncomfortable. There are still many hours left.
By midday, the heat becomes difficult to ignore. You sit beneath the shade of a tree with several villagers. One elderly man tells you that he remembers a terrible famine from his childhood. People became desperate. Food disappeared. Families suffered. Some never recovered. He tells the story calmly, almost casually, as though hardship has become so familiar that it no longer shocks him. You listen quietly, because there is nothing else to say. In the modern world, food shortages are often temporary inconveniences. In medieval Europe, they were life-threatening disasters. As afternoon arrives, clouds begin gathering overhead. The farmers glance nervously toward the sky. Rain can save crops. Rain can destroy crops. Everything depends on timing. You realize that medieval people spent much of their lives worrying about things that modern people rarely consider. Will there be enough food? Will winter be too cold? Will disease arrive? Will tomorrow be worse than today? These questions followed them constantly. As evening approaches, you return to the village. The smell of wood smoke fills the air. Children chase one another through the muddy streets. A dog barks somewhere in the distance. For dinner, you receive another bowl of stew, another piece of bread, another reminder that survival here requires accepting discomfort as a permanent companion. You eat slowly beside the fire. The flames flicker. The shadows move across the walls. Outside, the wind begins to howl. And for the first time since arriving in the Middle Ages, you find yourself grateful for something very simple. You survived another day. And as you finally closed your tired eyes, the distant sound of bells echoed through the night.
And as you finally closed your tired eyes, the distant sound of bells echoed through the night. For a brief moment, you managed to forget the cold, the hunger, and the endless labor. But the Middle Ages, unfortunately, have very little interest in comfort. You wake sometime during the night. At first, you're not sure why. The room is almost completely dark. The small fire that had warmed the house earlier has burned down to glowing embers. Outside, the wind whistles through tiny gaps in the wooden walls. Then you hear it. A sound. Not dangerous, not dramatic, just the ordinary sound of medieval life. Something is moving nearby. Perhaps a chicken, perhaps a dog, perhaps a rat. You suddenly remember an unpleasant reality of medieval housing. You are not living alone. In fact, in many medieval homes, humans and animals often shared the same building, especially during cold weather. Livestock provided warmth. Unfortunately, they also provided smells, noise, and countless opportunities for disease. You pull your thin blanket closer and attempt to return to sleep. Eventually, morning arrives. As sunlight begins to filter through the cracks in the walls, you finally get a proper look at your temporary home. Calling it a house may actually be somewhat generous. The floor is dirt. Not old wood, not stone, just dirt. The walls are constructed from rough timber and clay. In several places, small cracks allow cold air to enter freely. The roof, made of straw and thatch, provides some protection from rain, although not always enough. You stand up carefully. Immediately, you notice another problem: smoke. The fire inside the house has no proper chimney. Instead, smoke slowly drifts upward, escaping through holes in the roof whenever it feels inclined to do so. This means that everyone inside spends a considerable amount of time breathing smoke. Your eyes begin to water, your throat feels dry, and yet nobody else appears bothered, because for them, this is simply normal. As you step outside, you look around the village with fresh eyes. Every house appears similar: small, crowded, cold, and vulnerable. There are no glass windows in most homes. Instead, small openings may be covered with cloth, wood, or sometimes nothing at all. Privacy barely exists. Comfort is rare. Luxury is unimaginable. You begin walking through the narrow village pathways. Mud covers everything. Recent rain has transformed the roads into thick, slippery rivers of dirt. Animal waste mixes with water beneath your feet. Walking itself becomes a challenge. Suddenly, you feel an overwhelming appreciation for sidewalks, as strange as that may sound. Nearby, several villagers are repairing a damaged roof. The process is exhausting. Bundles of straw must be carried. Wooden supports must be replaced. Everything requires physical labor. In the modern world, repairing a house might involve calling professionals. In medieval Europe, you and your neighbors are the professionals. And if repairs fail, you simply live with the consequences. Later that morning, an older villager invites you inside his home. You hesitate. Then, curiosity wins. The interior is dark, very dark. Even during daylight hours, very little sunlight reaches inside. The room smells of smoke, damp earth, animals, and cooking fires that have burned continuously for years. Furniture is limited: a table, a few stools, several rough sleeping areas, and not much else. You ask yourself a question: how did people survive like this? Then you realize the answer. They didn't know anything different. For them, this wasn't hardship. This was simply life. As the afternoon continues, rain begins falling once again. You rush back toward your own shelter. But once inside, you discover another unpleasant surprise. The roof leaks. Not dramatically, not enough to cause panic, just enough to ensure that several areas of the house remain permanently damp. Buckets are placed beneath the drips. Nobody seems surprised. Apparently, this happens often. You sit quietly near the fire. The rain falls outside. The smoke rises slowly above you. The room grows darker. Hours pass. Eventually, dinner arrives. Bread, stew, and silence. Everyone is tired. Too tired to talk. Too tired to complain. You begin to understand that medieval life was not defined by dramatic battles or heroic adventures. It was defined by endurance. The endurance of cold. The endurance of hunger. The endurance of discomfort. And perhaps most importantly, the endurance of uncertainty. As night falls once again, you lie down on your straw mattress. The wind continues to whistle through the walls. The rain continues to fall. And somewhere in the darkness, something small scurries across the floor. You decide not to investigate. Instead, you close your eyes and remind yourself of one comforting thought. At least, this is only a journey through history. The fire slowly faded, and the darkness of the medieval world surrounded you once again. The fire slowly faded, and the darkness of the medieval world surrounded you once again. Eventually, morning arrives. Not because you feel rested, but because the cold itself wakes you. The fire that had provided a small amount of warmth during the night has long since gone out. The air inside the house is bitterly cold. You pull your thin blanket around your shoulders and wonder, not for the first time, how anyone managed to survive entire lifetimes here. As you step outside, the village is already awake. Smoke rises from chimneys. Dogs bark in the distance. A farmer leads a pair of oxen through the muddy streets. And somewhere nearby, someone is coughing. Not an ordinary cough, a deep, painful cough. You pause for a moment. In the modern world, a cough might mean a trip to the pharmacy or perhaps a visit to the doctor. In the Middle Ages, a cough could mean almost anything, and sometimes it meant something terrible. Today, you will learn one of the greatest challenges of medieval life: disease. Unfortunately, disease was not an occasional problem in the Middle Ages. It was a constant companion. People became sick frequently. Children became sick. Adults became sick. Entire villages became sick. And very often, nobody understood why. The idea that invisible germs caused illness would have sounded strange to many people living during this period. Instead, diseases were often explained through religion, bad air, supernatural causes, or simple bad luck. As you walk through the village, you begin noticing things you hadn't fully appreciated before. The streets are dirty, not merely untidy, dirty. Animal waste lies in the roads. Garbage accumulates nearby. Water sources are not always clean. Animals wander freely. Flies seem to be everywhere. Suddenly, modern sanitation feels like one of humanity's greatest achievements. You visit the village well. Several people are already there collecting water. The water appears clear enough, but appearances, as modern science would later discover, can be very misleading. Without proper sanitation systems, drinking water often became contaminated, and contaminated water meant disease, lots of disease. As the morning continues, you hear stories from villagers. One family lost a child last winter. Another lost 2 children during a previous outbreak of fever. A farmer down the road injured his leg and died several weeks later from infection. These stories are not told with drama, they are told with acceptance, because loss is an ordinary part of medieval life. You find this perhaps more unsettling than anything else. By midday, you arrive at the home of the village healer. Calling this person a doctor may not be entirely accurate. Medical knowledge in medieval Europe varied greatly, and treatments often combined observation, tradition, religion, and a considerable amount of guesswork. Inside the small house, shelves contain dried herbs, strange roots, oils, and powders. The healer explains several treatments. Some involve herbs, some involve prayer, and some involve procedures that sound absolutely terrifying. For example, bloodletting. The theory was simple. If illness existed, perhaps removing blood would remove the illness as well. Unfortunately, this approach was not always helpful. In fact, it was sometimes deadly. You suddenly become very grateful for modern medicine. the afternoon brings more work, but today your attention keeps returning to one uncomfortable realization. Every scratch matters. Every cut matters. Every fever matters. You look at your own hands. They are covered in small blisters and cuts from days of labor. In your own time, you probably wouldn't think twice about them. Here, however, they feel strangely dangerous. As evening approaches, dark clouds once again gather overhead. Rain begins falling softly. Villagers hurry home. Doors close. Fires are lit. The sounds of the village slowly disappear. Inside your house, you sit quietly beside the fire. The flames dance against the walls. You think about all the things modern people take for granted: soap, antibiotics, vaccines, hospitals, clean drinking water. Things so ordinary that we rarely stop to appreciate them. Yet here in the Middle Ages, their absence shapes every moment of life. Outside, the rain grows heavier. The wind howls through the cracks in the walls. And somewhere beyond the darkness, church bells begin to ring. Not in celebration, not in joy, but simply to mark another day survived. As the church bells rang once more, another difficult day quietly began. As the church bells rang once more, another difficult day quietly began. You no longer wake up expecting comfort. After several days in medieval Europe, you have learned an important lesson. Every morning begins with uncertainty. The cold remains. The hunger remains. And the work, of course, never truly ends. Before sunrise, you step outside and look toward the horizon. A thin layer of mist hangs over the fields. In the distance, you can already see farmers walking slowly toward their daily labor. Today, you will spend the entire day working the land. And by the end of it, you will understand why medieval farming was not merely a profession. It was a battle against weather, a battle against exhaustion, and sometimes a battle against starvation itself. As you join the other villagers, you notice that nobody speaks very much. There is little energy for conversation. Everyone carries tools that appear surprisingly simple. Wooden handles, iron blades, heavy baskets, no machines, no engines, no technology to make life easier. Everything depends on human effort. And human effort, unfortunately, is limited. The sun slowly rises as the work begins. You spend the morning digging, not for minutes, not for hours, but seemingly forever. Your shoulders ache. Your hands burn. Your back protests every movement. And yet the people around you continue, because they have no alternative. If crops fail, families starve. If families starve, entire villages suffer. The pressure is constant. As the morning continues, you begin to understand something extraordinary.
Medieval farmers possessed a kind of endurance that many modern people have never needed to develop. They worked through pain. They worked through illness. They worked through exhaustion. Because survival demanded it. Eventually, you stop to drink water. The water is cool. But the rest is brief. Very brief. There are still fields to prepare, seeds to plant, animals to feed, fences to repair. Nothing waits. Nothing pauses. The sun climbs higher. Sweat runs down your face. Your clothes become heavy with dirt. You begin calculating how many hours remain before sunset. Then you realize that the answer is still far too many. Around midday, the villagers gather beneath the shade of several trees. Lunch is simple. Dark bread, a small piece of cheese, and a bowl of vegetable broth. Nobody complains. Nobody asks for dessert. Nobody expects variety. Food is fuel, nothing more. As you eat, an older farmer begins speaking about previous harvests. He remembers years when crops grew well. He also remembers years when everything failed. Years of drought. Years of flooding. Years when families buried loved ones because there simply was not enough food. His voice remains calm. Perhaps because after surviving enough hardship, fear itself becomes exhausting. You listen quietly. Because there is little else to do. The afternoon labor begins. This time you help harvest grain. The process appears simple until you actually try it. Bend, cut, gather, lift, carry, repeat, again, and again, and again. Hours pass. The sun slowly moves across the sky. Birds fly overhead. The wind blows through the fields. And somehow, despite everything, there is a strange beauty to this difficult world. Not because life is easy, but because people continue living despite how hard it is. As evening approaches, dark clouds begin gathering once more. The villagers notice immediately. Everyone works faster because weather controls everything. Too much rain destroys crops. Too little rain destroys crops. An early frost destroys crops. A storm destroys crops. In medieval Europe, nature always has the final decision. The first drops of rain begin falling just as the day's work ends. The villagers gather their tools and begin the long walk home. Nobody celebrates. Nobody cheers. They simply survived another day. And sometimes that was victory enough. Back inside your small house, the fire crackles softly. Your hands are blistered. Your muscles ache. Your body feels older than it did this morning. You eat your evening meal in silence. Outside, the rain grows stronger. The wind rattles the walls. And as you stare into the fire, you realize something that historians often forget to mention. The people of the Middle Ages were not weak. They were extraordinarily strong. They had to be. Because surviving this world required a level of endurance that most modern people would find almost impossible to imagine. The sun disappeared beyond the fields, leaving only silence and exhaustion.
The sun disappeared beyond the fields, leaving only silence and exhaustion. For a while, you simply sit beside the fire. Your hands ache. Your back aches. Even your thoughts seem tired. Outside, darkness settles over the village once again. The wind carries distant sounds of barking dogs, creaking wooden carts, and the occasional voice drifting through the night air. You assume that tomorrow will be another day of farming. You are wrong. Tomorrow, you will learn something else about life in medieval Europe. Fear. Not the fear of monsters, not the fear of ghosts, but the fear of other people. Because medieval Europe was governed by laws that could be harsh, confusing, and often terrifying. You wake before sunrise to the sound of shouting. At first, you think there must be a fire, but when you step outside, you discover a crowd gathering near the center of the village. Men, women, and children stand silently watching. No one appears surprised. No one appears shocked. Curiosity pulls you forward. As you approach, you learn that a local man has been accused of stealing food from a nearby farm. In your own time, such a crime might result in a fine, community service, or perhaps a short prison sentence. In medieval Europe, however, justice often looked very different indeed. The accused man stands quietly. His face is pale. The villagers whisper among themselves. Some appear sympathetic, others do not. You quickly realized that medieval justice was not always about proving innocence or guilt through careful investigation. Sometimes it was about maintaining order. Sometimes it was about fear. And sometimes, unfortunately, it was about power. As the village official begins speaking, you learn another uncomfortable truth. There are no professional police officers here, no detectives, no forensic science, no fingerprints, no surveillance cameras. Evidence often depends on witnesses, rumors, reputation, and the judgment of local authorities. You suddenly become grateful for modern legal systems, despite all their imperfections. The crowd remains silent. The tension is unmistakable. Eventually, a punishment is announced. Fortunately for the accused, today's punishment is relatively mild. Relatively. He will spend several days locked in a public punishment device and pay compensation to the local landowner. The villagers nod. No one argues. No one protests. Because in medieval society, challenging authority could be dangerous. As the crowd slowly disperses, you continue walking through the village. You notice something you hadn't paid much attention to before. Everyone seems cautious. People choose their words carefully. They avoid unnecessary conflict. They understand that survival depends not only on hard work, but also on avoiding trouble. Later that morning, an elderly villager shares stories from his youth. Stories of thieves, stories of wars, stories of punishments. Some punishments involve public humiliation, others involve imprisonment, and some are far worse. He tells these stories calmly, as though discussing the weather. You begin to understand why. When hardship and danger surround you every day, fear itself becomes ordinary. By midday, your work continues, but your mind remains occupied by what you witnessed earlier. You think about justice, you think about fairness, and you realize that modern people often assume safety and legal protections as natural parts of life. In medieval Europe, they were not. As the afternoon sun slowly descends, you travel with several villagers toward a nearby town. The journey is slow. The roads are muddy. Travel itself carries risks. Bandits, wild animals, accidents, illness. Every journey involves uncertainty. Eventually, you arrive at the town gates. Stone walls rise above you. Guards stand watch. The marketplace bustles with activity. But beneath the noise and movement, you sense something else. Control, rules, authority. In medieval society, power is everywhere. Kings possess power, lords possess power, religious leaders possess power, and ordinary people possess very little. As evening approaches, you begin the long journey back to the village. The sky turns orange, then red, then dark. Nobody speaks very much. Everyone simply wants to return home safely. When you finally arrive, the village appears peaceful once again. Smoke rises from chimneys. Candles glow through tiny windows. Children sleep. Animals rest. But beneath that peaceful appearance lies a truth you now understand. Life in medieval Europe was not only difficult, it was uncertain. And uncertainty, perhaps more than anything else, shaped the lives of everyone who lived here. The streets grew quieter as fear settled over the village. The streets grew quieter as fear settled over the village. As night deepened, you found yourself staring into the fading firelight, wondering what life might be like for those who lived beyond the village. After all, somewhere in the distance stood the great castles of medieval Europe. Massive stone fortresses, homes of kings, queens, nobles, and powerful lords. Surely, you think, life inside a castle must have been easier, more comfortable, perhaps even luxurious. The next morning, you are given an opportunity few villagers ever receive. A local lord requires additional workers at his nearby castle, and several villagers, including yourself, are ordered to travel there. As the sun rises, you begin the journey. At first, excitement replaces exhaustion. For days, you have lived among farmers and peasants. Now, finally, you will see the grand world of medieval nobility. After several hours of walking, you see it, a castle, rising above the landscape like a mountain of stone. Its walls are enormous, its towers stretch toward the sky, its gates are guarded by armed men. For a moment, you are impressed. Then you remember something important. You are arriving not as a guest, you are arriving as a worker. As you pass through the heavy wooden gates, the sounds of the outside world fade behind you. Inside, the castle is busy. Servants rush from one building to another. Blacksmiths hammer iron. Soldiers train in the courtyard. Horses stamp their feet. Smoke rises from countless fires. This is not a peaceful palace. It is a machine designed for war, politics, and survival. You spend the morning carrying supplies. The work is exhausting. The stone stairs seem endless. Everything is heavy. Everything requires effort. And slowly, you begin noticing something surprising. Castles are not particularly comfortable. The walls are thick stone. The floors are cold. The windows are small. Even during daylight, many rooms remain dark and damp. In winter, castles become freezing. In summer, they become unbearable. You had imagined luxury. Instead, you discover inconvenience on a massive scale. Later, while carrying firewood, you catch a brief glimpse of the Great Hall. Long wooden tables stretch across the room. Candles flicker. Servants prepare food. At one end of the hall sits the local lord and his family. For a moment, the scene appears magnificent. Rich clothing, silver cups, decorated banners. But then you notice something else. The Lord looks tired. The servants look exhausted. The guards remain alert. No one appears relaxed, because even the wealthy live with constant fear. Fear of rebellion, fear of invasion, fear of disease, fear of losing power. As the day continues, you speak quietly with one of the castle servants. She tells you that she has worked inside the castle for nearly 15 years. She rises before dawn. She sleeps after midnight. She rarely leaves the castle walls. She has never traveled farther than the nearest town. You realize that while the castle appears powerful from the outside, many of the people inside it live lives that are just as difficult as those outside, perhaps even more difficult. By afternoon, you are assigned to help in the castle kitchens. The heat is overwhelming. Massive fires burn continuously. Cooks shout instructions. Servants carry enormous pots of food. The smell of roasting meat fills the air. For the first time in days, you see large quantities of food, but you quickly learn another lesson of medieval life. Seeing food and eating food are not always the same thing. The best meals belong to the nobles. Everyone else receives whatever remains. As evening approaches, the castle changes. Torches illuminate the walls. Guards patrol the towers. Heavy gates close with a thunderous sound. Suddenly, the castle no longer feels impressive. It feels like a prison built from stone. You climb to the top of one of the walls and look toward the horizon. Far away, you can see the tiny lights of villages, people preparing dinner, families gathering around fires, children falling asleep. And you realize something unexpected. No matter where you live in the Middle Ages, whether in a small village or a giant castle, life remains difficult. Power does not eliminate suffering. Wealth does not eliminate fear. And stone walls do not guarantee safety. As darkness falls over the castle, the distant sound of a horn echoes through the night. Beyond the castle walls, the long and uncertain night continued.
Beyond the castle walls, the long and uncertain night continued. You spend the night inside the castle. At first, this seems like a privilege. After all, most people in medieval Europe would never have the opportunity to sleep within the walls of a great fortress. But by midnight, you begin to reconsider. The stone room assigned to workers is cold. Very cold. The walls, impressive during the day, now seem to absorb every bit of warmth from your body. The blanket provided is thin. The straw mattress beneath you is uneven. Somewhere in the darkness, a man snores loudly. Somewhere else, someone coughs. And outside, beyond the walls, the wind howls through the night. Eventually, exhaustion wins. You fall asleep, only to be awakened before sunrise. Again, the castle is already alive. Servants hurry through the corridors. Guards change shifts. Horses stomp in the stables. And somewhere in the distance, a bell rings. Today, you learn another important truth about medieval life. No matter how powerful a kingdom appears, everything can change in an instant. Because today, there are rumors of war. At first, nobody speaks openly about it. People whisper. A messenger has arrived. A neighboring lord is gathering soldiers. A dispute over land has turned into something more dangerous. You notice the atmosphere change immediately. The guards become more alert. The servants speak more quietly. The Lord disappears into a private meeting. Fear spreads faster than fire. You suddenly realize something modern people often forget. For much of human history, war was not an unusual event. It was a normal part of life. By mid-morning, preparations begin. Blacksmiths work furiously. Soldiers sharpen swords. Armor is repaired. Supplies are gathered. Everywhere you look, people prepare for the possibility of violence. You walk into the castle courtyard. There, dozens of soldiers train. The sounds are unforgettable. Steel striking steel. Commands shouted across the yard. Heavy footsteps. The cries of exhausted men.
At first glance, the soldiers appear heroic. Then you notice their faces. Many are frightened. Many are young. Some are little older than boys. You realize that medieval warfare was not the glorious adventure often portrayed in stories. It was terrifying. A veteran soldier notices your curiosity. He sits beside you for a moment. His face is covered with scars. His hands are rough and worn. Quietly, he tells you about his first battle. He remembers the noise, the confusion, the fear. He remembers friends who never returned home. He remembers injuries that never fully healed. He pauses for a long moment. Then he says something you will never forget. The brave men were usually the ones who were most afraid. You sit silently because you understand exactly what he means. By afternoon, news arrives. There will not be a battle today. At least not yet. The tension eases slightly. But nobody truly relaxes. Because everyone understands that peace can disappear very quickly. As the day continues, you begin thinking about how fragile medieval life really was. A poor harvest, a disease outbreak, a storm, a war. Any one of these could destroy everything. There were no guarantees, no safety nets, no certainty, only hope. As evening approaches, you climb the castle wall once more. The sun is setting. The sky turns gold, then orange, then deep red. For a brief moment, the world looks peaceful, beautiful even. But you now know better. Beneath that beauty lies constant uncertainty. Below you, soldiers continue preparing. Farmers return to their homes. Smoke rises from distant villages. And somewhere far beyond the horizon, another army may already be marching. You suddenly understand why medieval people valued peace so deeply. Because they knew exactly how quickly it could disappear. The castle gates close. Torches are lit. The night grows colder. And as darkness spreads across the land, the sounds of preparation slowly fade into silence. The sounds of battle fade into distant memories.
The sounds of battle faded into distant memories. As dawn breaks over the castle, you notice something unusual. The soldiers are quieter than before. The servants move more slowly. Even the horses seem calmer. For the first time in several days, there is no immediate fear of war. Instead, another force that shaped medieval life takes center stage: religion. In the modern world, religion may be one part of a person's life. In the Middle Ages, it was often the center of everything. It shaped how people worked, how they married, how they ate, how they governed, how they understood illness, and, perhaps most importantly, how they understood death. As the morning bells ring across the countryside, everyone stops what they are doing. For a brief moment, the entire world seems to pause. Heads bow. Prayers are whispered. Then, just as quickly, life resumes. You decide to accompany several villagers to the local church. The building itself is simple. Stone walls, wooden benches, colored light filtering through small windows. Yet despite its simplicity, it feels powerful. Not because of wealth, but because of belief. As you enter, the air smells faintly of candle wax and smoke. The room is quiet, very quiet. People kneel. Some pray silently. Others simply sit with their eyes closed. You realize that for many medieval people, faith provided something they desperately needed: certainty. In a world filled with disease, famine, war, and hardship, religion offered explanations. Why did people suffer? Why did children die? Why did crops fail? Why did disasters happen? Faith provided answers. Whether those answers were correct was, for many people, less important than the comfort they offered. As the service begins, you observe the faces around you. Young faces, old faces, tired faces, hopeful faces, all listening carefully, all searching for meaning. The priest speaks. You do not understand every word, but you understand the emotion. The room fills with a sense of shared purpose. For a few moments, the fear and hardship of everyday life seem to disappear. After the service ends, people remain outside the church. They talk, they exchange news, they discuss weather, crops, and family matters. You realize something important. The church is not only a religious institution, it is also the center of community life. It is where people gather, where they learn news, where they seek comfort, and where they attempt to make sense of a difficult world. Later that afternoon, you speak with an elderly villager. He tells you that he has attended church almost every week of his life. He has witnessed famine, disease, war, and personal loss. Yet he still believes, not because his life has been easy, but perhaps because it has been difficult. You think about this for a long time. In your own world, people often search for comfort through technology, entertainment, or material possessions. In medieval Europe, many people searched for comfort through faith. As evening approaches, candles begin to illuminate the church once more. Their light flickers against the stone walls. Outside, the sky slowly darkens. The village becomes quiet. Families return home. Doors close. Fires are lit. And once again, another day comes to an end. You sit alone for a few moments, listening to the distant sound of bells. Not warning bells, not battle bells, just ordinary bells marking the passage of time. You realize that throughout all the hardships of medieval life, these sounds remained constant. A reminder that despite suffering, despite uncertainty, and despite fear, life continued. The candles burned lower as another chapter of medieval life ended.
The candles burned lower as another chapter of medieval life ended. The next morning, you wake with a sharp pain in your shoulder. At first, you ignore it. After all, several days of medieval labor have left nearly every part of your body aching. But as the hours pass, the pain grows worse. In the modern world, this would be a minor inconvenience. You might visit a clinic, take medication, or simply rest. In the Middle Ages, however, illness and injury were matters of fear. You decide to visit the local healer. The healer's home is filled with strange smells. Dried herbs hang from wooden beams. Small jars containing powders and oils line the walls. Candles flicker in the darkness. The healer examines your shoulder carefully. Then comes the treatment. A mixture of herbs, a prayer, and advice to avoid anger, cold air, and excessive thinking. You begin to realize that medieval medicine is part science, part tradition, and part hope. Later, you hear stories of treatments involving bloodletting, leeches, and mysterious potions. Some patients recover, some do not. No one truly understands why. As evening approaches, you sit beside the fire, grateful for one simple fact: you are still alive. The healer's footsteps disappeared into the darkness. Several days later, you join a small group of travelers heading toward a nearby town. Traveling in the Middle Ages is not an adventure, it is a risk. The roads are little more than muddy paths cutting through forests and fields. There are no maps, no street signs, and certainly no emergency services. The journey begins before sunrise. The air is cold. The road is silent. For hours you walk. You pass abandoned buildings, ruined farms, and small villages barely visible through the morning fog. Every sound catches your attention. A snapping branch, a barking dog, a distant voice. Bandits are common. Wild animals are common. Getting lost is common. At midday, the travelers stop briefly to eat bread and drink water. No one speaks very much. Everyone remains alert. As darkness approaches, you finally reach a small roadside inn. Calling it an inn may be generous. The building is crowded. The food is poor. The beds are worse. But it offers one thing that matters most: shelter. That night, lying awake among strangers, you realize how difficult travel once was. Every journey demanded courage. Every road contained uncertainty. The road ahead vanished beneath the evening fog. When morning arrives, you finally reach the town marketplace. The scene before you is unlike anything you've seen so far. People are everywhere. Merchants shout. Animals wander between stalls. Children run through the crowds. The air smells of bread, smoke, leather, spices, and countless other things you cannot identify. For the first time since arriving in the Middle Ages, you see evidence of a larger world. A merchant claims to have traveled hundreds of miles. Another sells cloth from distant lands. A third offers exotic spices worth more than many villagers earn in months. You spend hours wandering through the market. Blacksmiths hammer metal. Bakers prepare bread. Traders negotiate loudly. Money changes hands constantly. And yet, despite all the activity, life remains uncertain. A failed journey, a robbery, a war, a disease outbreak. Any of these could destroy a merchant's livelihood overnight. As evening fades into evening, the marketplace slowly empties. The shouting stops. The animals disappear. The fires burn lower. You watch the last merchants pack their goods and prepare for another dangerous journey. Once again, you understand the central truth of medieval life. Everyone is struggling. Everyone is surviving. And everyone is hoping that tomorrow will be kinder than today. The marketplace slowly emptied as night approached.
Beyond the castle walls, the long and uncertain night continued. You spend the night inside the castle. At first, this seems like a privilege. After all, most people in medieval Europe would never have the opportunity to sleep within the walls of a great fortress. But by midnight, you begin to reconsider. The stone room assigned to workers is cold. Very cold. The walls, impressive during the day, now seem to absorb every bit of warmth from your body. The blanket provided is thin. The straw mattress beneath you is uneven. Somewhere in the darkness, a man snores loudly. Somewhere else, someone coughs. And outside, beyond the walls, the wind howls through the night. Eventually, exhaustion wins. You fall asleep, only to be awakened before sunrise. Again, the castle is already alive. Servants hurry through the corridors. Guards change shifts. Horses stomp in the stables. And somewhere in the distance, a bell rings. Today, you learn another important truth about medieval life. No matter how powerful a kingdom appears, everything can change in an instant. Because today, there are rumors of war. At first, nobody speaks openly about it. People whisper. A messenger has arrived. A neighboring lord is gathering soldiers. A dispute over land has turned into something more dangerous. You notice the atmosphere change immediately. The guards become more alert. The servants speak more quietly. The Lord disappears into a private meeting. Fear spreads faster than fire. You suddenly realize something modern people often forget. For much of human history, war was not an unusual event. It was a normal part of life. By mid-morning, preparations begin. Blacksmiths work furiously. Soldiers sharpen swords. Armor is repaired. Supplies are gathered. Everywhere you look, people prepare for the possibility of violence. You walk into the castle courtyard. There, dozens of soldiers train. The sounds are unforgettable. Steel striking steel. Commands shouted across the yard. Heavy footsteps. The cries of exhausted men. At first glance, the soldiers appear heroic. Then you notice their faces. Many are frightened. Many are young. Some are little older than boys. You realize that medieval warfare was not the glorious adventure often portrayed in stories. It was terrifying. A veteran soldier notices your curiosity. He sits beside you for a moment. His face is covered with scars. His hands are rough and worn. Quietly, he tells you about his first battle. He remembers the noise, the confusion, the fear. He remembers friends who never returned home. He remembers injuries that never fully healed. He pauses for a long moment. Then he says something you will never forget. The brave men were usually the ones who were most afraid. You sit silently because you understand exactly what he means. By afternoon, news arrives. There will not be a battle today. At least not yet. The tension eases slightly. But nobody truly relaxes. Because everyone understands that peace can disappear very quickly. As the day continues, you begin thinking about how fragile medieval life really was. A poor harvest, a disease outbreak, a storm, a war. Any one of these could destroy everything. There were no guarantees, no safety nets, no certainty, only hope. As evening approaches, you climb the castle wall once more. The sun is setting. The sky turns gold, then orange, then deep red. For a brief moment, the world looks peaceful, beautiful even. But you now know better. Beneath that beauty lies constant uncertainty. Below you, soldiers continue preparing. Farmers return to their homes. Smoke rises from distant villages. And somewhere far beyond the horizon, another army may already be marching. You suddenly understand why medieval people valued peace so deeply. Because they knew exactly how quickly it could disappear. The castle gates close. Torches are lit. The night grows colder. And as darkness spreads across the land, the sounds of preparation slowly fade into silence. The sounds of battle fade into distant memories.
The small candle flickered gently in the darkness. As you watched the family settle in for the night, another question entered your mind. If ordinary people worked this hard merely to survive, what was life like for those who ruled them? Kings, queens, lords, nobles. Surely their lives must have been easier. The next morning, you receive unexpected news. A local nobleman is traveling to the regional court, and additional workers are needed to accompany the procession. Once again, curiosity overcomes caution. Before sunrise, you join the group. The journey is long. Soldiers ride ahead. Servants follow behind. Carts carrying food, clothing, and supplies creak along the muddy roads. For the first time, you witness the machinery of medieval power in motion. Hours later, you arrive at a large manor house. It is impressive, not merely because of its size, but because of what it represents: authority, wealth, control. As you pass through the gates, you quickly realize that noble life is far more complicated than you imagined. Servants rush through corridors. Messengers arrive with urgent news. Officials argue over taxes. Guards patrol every entrance. No one appears relaxed. No one appears truly comfortable. You had expected luxury. Instead, you discover responsibility and fear. Throughout the morning, you help transport supplies into the Great Hall. As you work, you observe the noble family from a distance. Their clothing is beautiful. Their meals are extravagant. Their surroundings are impressive. Yet their conversations are filled with worry. One speaks about taxes. Another discusses a dispute over land. A third worries about neighboring lords. Power, you realize, creates its own form of suffering. Later, you overhear an advisor explaining recent political events. A marriage alliance has failed. A rival lord has become more powerful. Rumors of conflict continue spreading throughout the region. You begin to understand that medieval politics resembles a game in which everyone fears losing, and losing can mean everything: land, wealth, power, freedom, sometimes even life itself. At midday, a great meal is served: roasted meat, fresh bread, wine, cheese, foods that ordinary villagers might never see. For a moment, you almost envy the nobles. Then you notice something else. Before anyone eats, servants carefully taste the food. At first, this seems strange. Then someone quietly mentions the possibility of poison. Your appetite disappears immediately. You suddenly realize that wealth does not eliminate danger. It merely changes its form. As the afternoon continues, you visit the Lord's private chambers. They are larger than any room you have seen before, yet they are still cold, still dark, still uncomfortable. The stone walls trap moisture. The fireplaces provide limited warmth. And despite all the wealth surrounding you, true comfort remains elusive. As evening approaches, musicians perform in the great hall. Candles illuminate the room. Guests laugh. Wine flows freely. For a brief moment, medieval noble life appears almost magical. But beneath the music and celebration lies something deeper:
anxiety. Every person in this room knows that fortune can disappear quickly. A king may lose his throne. A noble may lose his lands. A powerful family may vanish within a generation. Nothing is permanent. As the celebration ends, you step outside into the cold night air. Above you, the stars shine brightly. Behind you, the sounds of laughter slowly fade. And suddenly, you understand something that history books often overlook. The nobles of the Middle Ages were not simply rulers. They were prisoners of power. They lived with privileges most people could never imagine, but they also lived with fears most people could never understand. The royal halls grew silent as midnight approached.
The royal halls grew silent as midnight approached. The next morning, you awaken to disturbing news. A prisoner is being transported to the local jail. Curiosity, once again, proves stronger than wisdom. You follow the crowd. The prison itself is smaller than you expected, and somehow far more frightening. The building is dark, damp, and cold. Thick stone walls block out much of the sunlight. The air smells of mold, smoke, and human suffering. Inside, you discover that medieval prisons were not designed for comfort. In fact, they were barely designed for survival. Many prisoners slept on stone floors. Food was limited. Disease spread easily. And hope was often in short supply. You speak quietly with one of the guards. He explains that imprisonment itself was not always the punishment. Sometimes prison was merely where people waited for judgment, waited for fines, waited for public punishment, or waited for something much worse. As you walk through the narrow corridors, you hear coughing, whispering, praying, and silence. A lot of silence. You realize that fear is perhaps the most powerful force in this place. Not fear of pain, not fear of discomfort, but fear of uncertainty. No one knows exactly what tomorrow will bring. As evening approaches, you leave the prison behind, but the memory follows you. The heavy doors, the dark corridors, the hopeless faces. For the first time since arriving in the Middle Ages, you feel grateful simply to be free. The heavy prison doors closed with a final echo. The heavy prison doors closed with a final echo. As winter approaches, a new fear begins spreading across the region. Disease. At first, it is only a rumor. A village several days away has become ill. Then another. Then another. People begin speaking more quietly. Markets become less crowded. Travelers become less welcome. Fear spreads faster than the disease itself. You witness families praying together. You witness merchants canceling journeys.
You witness entire communities preparing for the worst. No one understands exactly how disease spreads. Some blame bad air. Some blame strangers. Some blame divine punishment. Everyone searches for answers. Very few find them. As the days pass, church bells ring more often. The sound becomes impossible to ignore. Each bell reminds you that medieval life existed under a constant shadow. Not only war, not only hunger, but the possibility that disaster could arrive without warning. One evening, an elderly villager sits beside the fire and speaks softly. "I have survived famine," he says. "I have survived war. I have survived winter." Then he pauses. But nobody ever stops being afraid. You sit quietly, because there is nothing to add. Outside, the wind blows across the empty fields. The stars shine above, and for a moment the entire world feels fragile. The village remained silent beneath the cold night sky. The village remained silent beneath the cold night sky. As your journey through the Middle Ages slowly comes to an end, you find yourself reflecting on everything you have experienced. The cold, the hunger, the endless labor, the disease, the fear, the uncertainty. When you first arrived, you may have imagined castles, knights, and adventure. Instead, you discovered exhaustion. You discovered hardship. You discovered survival. You remember waking before sunrise on a straw mattress. You remember working until your body could barely move. You remember eating meals that barely satisfied your hunger. You remember living without medicine, sanitation, comfort, or security. And slowly, you begin to understand why surviving the Middle Ages was so difficult. The people who lived during this time were not weak. They were extraordinarily strong. They endured because they had no alternative. You think about your own world. Electricity, clean water, modern medicine, heating, transportation, food delivered directly to your home. You realize that these things are not ordinary. They are extraordinary. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. History is not merely a story about the past. It is a reminder of how difficult life once was. As the night grows deeper, you imagine the medieval village slowly disappearing into darkness. The fires burn lower. The voices fade. The wind grows quieter. And after everything you have witnessed, there is one final truth you carry with you. You probably would not survive a week in the Middle Ages. And that is perfectly understandable, because surviving the Middle Ages required a level of endurance, resilience, and courage that few of us will ever truly comprehend. And now, as our journey through the medieval world comes to an end, you can finally rest. The fires have faded, the bells have fallen silent, and the long, difficult night is finally over.
As the final embers of the fire glow softly in the darkness, you remain seated for just a little while longer. The medieval world around you has fallen silent. The farmers have returned home. The merchants have packed away their goods. The soldiers have lowered their weapons, and even the church bells, which have marked the passing of so many difficult days, have finally stopped ringing. Above you, the night sky stretches endlessly. There are no electric lights, no engines, no distant sounds of cities. Only stars. Thousands upon thousands of stars. For a moment, you forget the hardships, the hunger, the cold, the fear, the uncertainty. Instead, you simply look upward, and you realize that despite everything that separated medieval people from us, one thing remained exactly the same. They looked at this same sky. They watched these same stars. They wondered about their lives, their futures, and their place in the world, just as we do today. Perhaps a farmer stood in this very spot 800 years ago. Perhaps he had spent the day harvesting grain. Perhaps he worried about the coming winter. Perhaps he missed someone he loved. Perhaps he simply hoped that tomorrow would be a little easier than today. You will never know his name. History has forgotten it. But for a brief moment, sitting here beneath the stars, you feel connected to him. Connected to everyone who lived before you. The kings, the queens, the soldiers, the merchants, the mothers, the fathers, the children, the countless ordinary people whose lives were difficult, uncertain, and yet deeply human. The wind blows softly across the empty fields. The fire beside you grows weaker. In the distance, an owl calls into the night. And slowly, very slowly, the medieval world begins to fade. The castles disappear. The villages disappear. The roads disappear. The centuries themselves seem to drift away like smoke. Soon, there is only darkness and peace. You have traveled through hardship. You have traveled through fear. You have traveled through history itself. And now, your journey is over. So allow your thoughts to grow quiet. Allow the stars to fade. Allow the long medieval night to finally come to an end. And as the last light of the fire disappears into darkness, you may close your eyes, rest peacefully, and drift gently into sleep. Good night.
The village remained silent beneath the cold night sky. As you sit beside the dying fire, listening to the wind move through the empty streets, you realize that your journey through the Middle Ages is finally coming to an end. You have spent days walking muddy roads. You have worked in fields from sunrise to sunset. You have slept on straw mattresses. You have eaten simple meals. You have witnessed disease, fear, poverty, war, and uncertainty. And now
As the final night settles over the medieval world, you begin to ask yourself a simple question. Could you really survive here? At the beginning of this journey, the answer might have seemed obvious. Of course you could. After all, you have access to knowledge, education, and everything the modern world has taught you. But after experiencing medieval life, you understand something important. Knowledge alone would not save you, because surviving the Middle Ages was not primarily about intelligence, it was about endurance. It was about waking up every morning despite exhaustion. It was about continuing to work despite pain. It was about accepting uncertainty as a permanent part of life. You think back to your first morning in the village, the cold air, the muddy roads, the smell of smoke, the hunger. At the time, you believed those difficulties would eventually become easier. Instead, they simply became familiar. Then you remember the labor, the endless labor. Hours spent in fields, hours spent carrying water, hours spent repairing homes, tending animals, and performing tasks that never truly ended. There were no weekends, no vacations, no retirement plans. For most people, life was work, and work was life. You remember the food, the bread, the stew, the occasional piece of cheese. Meals were not experiences, they were necessities. You remember the diseases, the fear of injury, the absence of medicine, the uncertainty that followed every cough, every fever, and every wound. You remember the castles, the nobles, the kings, and how even the powerful lived in fear. Fear of war, fear of betrayal, fear of losing everything. You remember the families, the parents who worked endlessly, the children who became adults far too quickly, the grandparents who carried memories of famine, war, and loss. And through it all, you remember one thing above everything else: the resilience of the people. The people of the Middle Ages were not superheroes. They were not fearless warriors. They were ordinary human beings. People who became extraordinary because their world demanded it. They endured hardships that most modern people will never experience. They survived winters without heating, illness without medicine, labor without machines, loss without certainty. And somehow, despite everything, they continued. As the fire beside you burns lower, you begin thinking about your own world. Electric lights, clean water, hospitals, warm beds, safe food, modern transportation, instant communication. Thousands of small comforts that are so common they often go unnoticed. For perhaps the first time, you truly appreciate them. History, you realize, is not only about understanding the past, it is also about understanding the present, about recognizing how extraordinary ordinary life has become. The wind outside grows softer, the village grows quieter, the stars shine above the rooftops. One by one, the lights inside the houses disappear. The fires fade, the voices stop. The long medieval day finally comes to an end. And as your own journey through this difficult and fascinating world slowly fades into darkness,
you carry with you one final truth. You probably would not survive a week in the Middle Ages, and that is not a failure. It is a testament to how difficult life once was. Now the fires have burned low, the bells have fallen silent, the roads are empty, and at last, after traveling through centuries of hardship, uncertainty, and endurance, you may finally rest.
As the last light of the fire disappeared into darkness, you thought your journey through the Middle Ages had finally come to an end. But history, like memory, has a way of lingering. You find yourself walking once more, not through a bustling village, not through a crowded marketplace, but through the quiet countryside of medieval Europe. It is early morning. The sun has not yet risen. A soft mist covers the fields. The world feels suspended between night and day. You walk slowly along a narrow dirt path. There is no destination, no task waiting for you, no lord to serve, no field to harvest. For the first time since arriving in this distant century, you simply walk. The air is cold but peaceful. Birds begin to sing somewhere in the darkness. In the distance, you see the silhouette of a small village awaking for another day. Smoke rises from a few chimneys. A dog barks. A rooster announces the coming dawn. And suddenly, you realize something. For all its hardship, medieval life was also filled with moments of quiet beauty. The beauty of sunrise over empty fields. The beauty of stars untouched by artificial light. The beauty of families gathered around a fire. The beauty of survival itself. You continue walking. The path leads through farmland. Fields stretch endlessly in every direction. Some have been harvested. Others wait patiently for spring. You think about the countless people who walked these same paths. Farmers carrying tools. Children carrying water. Merchants carrying dreams of wealth. Soldiers carrying fears they could never express. Most of their names have been forgotten. Most of their stories were never written. Yet they lived, they laughed, they worried, they hoped. And in that way, they were no different from us. The sun slowly rises. Golden light spills across the countryside. The mist begins to disappear. For the first time during your journey, the world feels warm, not physically, but emotionally. You no longer see the Middle Ages as merely a time of suffering. You see it as a time of humanity, a world filled with ordinary people doing extraordinary things simply by surviving another day. You stop walking and look toward the horizon. There are no castles, no battles, no kings, only fields, sky, and silence. The silence feels comforting. As the morning grows brighter, the world around you begins to fade once more. The fields disappear, the roads disappear, the villages disappear, and slowly, gently, you find yourself returning home, back to your own century, back to warm beds, back to electric lights, back to all the comforts that medieval people could only dream of. But before the last image disappears, you look back one final time. Far away in the distance, beneath a pale morning sky, a small medieval village still stands. Its people continue their lives. Its fires continue to burn. Its story continues. And with that final thought, you allow yourself to rest. The journey is over. The road is behind you. And the long, quiet night has finally given way to dawn. Good night. The long journey through history is finally becoming a dream. And like all dreams, it begins to drift. You no longer know exactly where you are. Perhaps you are still in the Middle Ages. Perhaps you have already begun the journey home. The distinction no longer seems important. Around you stretches a vast countryside beneath a sky filled with stars. The air is cool, the wind is gentle, and for the first time since your journey began, there is nothing you need to do. No fields to work, no roads to travel, no dangers to avoid, only silence. You begin walking slowly along a path illuminated by moonlight. The path feels familiar, not because you have walked it before, but because countless others have. For thousands of years, human beings have walked roads like this. Farmers returning home, merchants seeking opportunity, pilgrims searching for meaning, soldiers longing for peace, parents hoping for a better future for their children. You walk for what feels like hours, or perhaps only moments. Time itself seems to move differently here. The moon rises higher, the stars grow brighter, the world grows quieter. Eventually, you reach the top of a small hill. Below you lies the medieval world one final time. You see villages scattered across the landscape. Tiny points of firelight flicker in the darkness. Each light represents a home. Each home contains a story. A family sharing a meal, a child falling asleep, an old man remembering his youth, a mother hoping that winter will not be too harsh, a farmer wondering whether the harvest will succeed. Millions of lives, millions of hopes, millions of fears. And yet history remembers so few of their names. You stand quietly beneath the stars and think about everything you have witnessed. The labor, the hunger, the cold, the wars, the diseases, the hardships, but also the courage, the kindness, the perseverance, the simple determination to continue living. You realize now that history is not really about kings. It is not about battles. It is not even about great events. History is about ordinary people. People who woke up each morning without knowing what the day would bring. People who continued despite uncertainty. People who endured. The wind moves softly through the grass around you. Far below, the last candles begin to disappear, one by one, until only darkness remains. The stars overhead shine brighter than ever, and for a brief moment, you feel connected to every person who has ever looked at this same sky. The shepherd, the soldier, the merchant,
The mother, the child, the king, the peasant, all separated by time, yet all sharing the same hopes, the same fears, the same human experience. Slowly, the stars themselves begin to fade. The night grows softer, the world grows quieter. And as your journey through the Middle Ages finally slips beyond memory and into dream, you carry with you one final understanding. Human history has always been difficult. Human life has always been uncertain. And yet, generation after generation, people continued. They hoped, they loved, they endured. And because they endured, we are here. The wind falls silent, the stars disappear, the night becomes peaceful. And at last, after traveling across centuries of hardship, courage, and hope, you close your eyes and rest.
The journey is complete. Or at least that is what you tell yourself. Yet, as you drift between memory and sleep, one final scene from the medieval world returns to you. It is evening. Not the cold, fearful evening of war. Not the desperate evening of famine. Just an ordinary evening. The kind of evening that happened millions of times across medieval Europe. You find yourself standing beside a narrow country road. The sun is setting. Its golden light stretches across the fields, painting the landscape in shades of amber and red. The air is still. For the first time in your journey, there is no sense of urgency. No danger, no fear, only the quiet ending of another day. In the distance, you see a farmer walking home. His tools rest on his shoulder. His steps are slow, not because he is unhappy, but because he is tired. The kind of tiredness that comes from a lifetime of work. A short distance behind him, several children walk together. They laugh quietly. One carries a bundle of firewood. Another holds a small loaf of bread wrapped in cloth. Their laughter drifts through the evening air, and for a moment, you forget that this world is difficult. You simply see people, ordinary people, people who loved, people who worried, people who hoped. As you continue walking, you pass small houses with light glowing through tiny windows. Inside, families gather around fires. Some eat dinner, some tell stories, some simply sit together in silence. There are no televisions, no phones, no distractions. Only the warmth of human company. You stop and listen. A mother sings softly to a child. An elderly man tells a story he has told many times before. Someone laughs. Someone yawns. Someone adds another piece of wood to the fire. The sounds are small, but somehow they feel important. You realize that history often remembers kings and battles, but history was truly lived in moments like these. A shared meal, a familiar voice, a warm fire on a cold night. The sky above grows darker. One by one, stars begin to appear. The same stars you know. The same stars that people have looked upon for thousands of years. You wonder how many medieval people stood exactly where you are standing now. How many of them looked upward and asked the same questions. Will tomorrow be better? Will my family be safe?
Will I have enough food? Will I live to see another spring? These questions feel ancient, and yet they also feel strangely familiar. The night deepens. The village grows quieter. The fires burn lower. The voices fade. Soon, only the sound of the wind remains. You take one final look around. The fields, the cottages, the distant church tower, the stars overhead. And you realize that despite all its hardships, the medieval world was also a world of resilience, community, and hope. Slowly, very slowly, the scene begins to fade. The stars grow dimmer. The road disappears. The village becomes a memory. And as the last light of the medieval evening slips away into darkness, you allow yourself to rest. The long journey through history is finally becoming a dream. Good night.
And rest. Good night. Or perhaps not quite yet. Because as sleep finally begins to take hold, one last memory rises gently from the darkness. You find yourself sitting beside a small river. It is dawn. A pale mist drifts across the water. The world is silent, except for the soft sound of the current moving over stones. There are no castles here, no armies, no markets, no church bells, only nature and you. You sit quietly and watch as the first light of morning spreads across the landscape. For the first time since beginning your journey through the Middle Ages, you are not thinking about survival. You are simply observing. A bird lands on a nearby branch. The river continues its endless journey. The grass bends gently in the wind. Everything feels calm, timeless. You begin to understand something that medieval people probably understood far better than most of us do today. Human life is brief. The seasons are not. The river has flowed here for thousands of years, long before medieval villages existed, long before castles were built, long before kings ruled and armies marched, and it will continue flowing long after all of those things have disappeared. You think about the people you encountered during your journey, the exhausted farmer, the frightened soldier, the hopeful merchant, the weary mother, the lonely prisoner, the aging healer. They are all gone now. Their houses have disappeared. Their roads have vanished. Even their names have been forgotten. And yet, somehow, they remain. Not in stone, not in books, but in the story of humanity itself. The sun slowly rises higher. The mist begins to fade. The water sparkles in the morning light. You realize that history is not only a record of suffering, it is also a record of endurance, of ordinary people continuing to live despite uncertainty, of families continuing to love despite hardship, of communities continuing to hope despite fear. Perhaps that is why the medieval ages still fascinate us. Not because life was romantic,
not because life was easy, but because life was real, painfully, beautifully, unavoidably real. You close your eyes and listen. The river, the wind, the birds, the silence, all of it feels familiar, all of it feels peaceful. And slowly, as the morning sun warms the world around you, the final traces of your journey begin to disappear. The river fades, the sky fades, the memory of the Middle Ages fades, until there is nothing left but quiet, a deep and comforting quiet, the kind of quiet that arrives only after a very long journey. And now, at last, there is nowhere left to travel, no questions left to answer, no roads left to walk, only rest. So allow the river to continue flowing, allow the sun to continue rising, allow history to drift gently into the distance, and allow yourself, finally, to sleep. Good night.
And allow yourself, finally, to sleep. But even in sleep, the echoes of history remain. You find yourself standing once more in the medieval world. Not in a village, not in a castle, not on a battlefield, but in a quiet meadow at the edge of a forest. It is late afternoon. The sun hangs low in the sky. Golden light falls across the tall grass, causing it to shimmer gently in the breeze. For a long moment, you do nothing. You simply stand and breathe. The air smells of earth, grass, and distant rain. Somewhere nearby, a bird sings. Far away, you hear the faint ringing of church bells carried by the wind. They sound softer now, more distant, as though the centuries themselves are slowly drifting away. You begin to walk, not because you have somewhere to go, but because walking has become part of this journey. The path beneath your feet is soft. Wildflowers grow along its edges. Bees move lazily from flower to flower. The world feels peaceful, and you wonder how such peace could exist in a time that was often so difficult. Then you remember. The people of the Middle Ages did not live inside history books. They did not wake each morning believing they lived in a dark age. They simply lived. They worked. They loved. They worried. They hoped. Just as people do today. As you continue walking, you come across an old oak tree. Its branches stretch wide across the meadow. Its trunk is thick and weathered. You sit beneath its shade. The grass is warm from the afternoon sun. And for the first time since beginning your journey, you feel completely safe. The tree has stood here for centuries. It has watched seasons change. It has watched kingdoms rise and fall. It has witnessed wars, famines, celebrations, and countless ordinary days. And yet, it remains. You close your eyes for a moment. The wind moves gently through the leaves above.
The sound is soft, rhythmic, almost like breathing. You think again about the people you met. The farmer who rose before dawn. The mother who worked without rest. The soldier who feared battle. The merchant who traveled uncertain roads. The healer who fought illness with little more than hope. None of them knew what the future would bring. Yet they continued, not because they were certain, but because they were human. You realize that perhaps this is the true story of history. Not the story of kings, not the story of wars, but the story of endurance. The story of ordinary people facing extraordinary uncertainty and continuing anyway. The sun slowly begins to set. The light turns golden, then orange, then soft shades of red. Long shadows stretch across the meadow. The birds grow quieter. The wind becomes cooler. And somewhere in the distance, the church bells ring one final time. Not as a warning, not as a call to labor, but simply as a reminder that another day has ended. You open your eyes. The meadow is becoming darker. The old tree stands silently above you. The sky fills with stars. One by one, slowly, patiently, just as they have for thousands of years. You lie back in the grass and look upward, and as the stars shine overhead, you realize that your journey through the Middle Ages was never really about the past. It was about understanding the quiet strength of those who came before us. The strength to endure. The strength to hope. The strength to continue. The night grows deeper. The stars grow brighter. And beneath the ancient sky, you allow yourself to drift further and further into sleep. Good night. Good night. And yet, somewhere between sleep and memory, your journey continues. The stars above the meadow slowly begin to move. Not quickly, not dramatically, but with the quiet certainty of time itself. You remain lying in the soft grass beneath the ancient sky. The air is cool now. The evening breeze carries the scent of earth, distant forests, and the fading warmth of the day. For a long while, you simply watch the stars. You realize that the people of the Middle Ages spent far more time looking at the night sky than most of us ever do. They had no streetlights, no glowing screens, no cities bright enough to hide the stars. The sky was their companion, their calendar, their map, and sometimes their source of hope. Perhaps 800 years ago, someone stood in this very meadow and looked up at these same stars. Perhaps they wondered what tomorrow would bring. Perhaps they worried about the coming winter. Or perhaps after a long and difficult day, they simply enjoyed the rare peace of a quiet evening. You will never know, but somehow that uncertainty feels comforting. The night grows deeper. A soft fog begins to settle across the fields. The world becomes quieter still.
Even the wind seems to slow. In the distance, you hear the faint sound of a shepherd guiding his animals home. The sound drifts across the countryside, then fades. You think about all the people whose lives unfolded in places like this. Not kings, not queens, not famous warriors, ordinary people. People who spent their days planting seeds, repairing roofs, preparing meals, caring for children, and hoping that the next season would be kinder than the last. History rarely remembers their names, yet they were the ones who carried the world forward. You close your eyes. For a moment, you imagine the passing of centuries. Seasons change, winters arrive and disappear. Children become parents, parents become grandparents. Villages grow, villages disappear. Castles rise, castles fall. Empires come and go, and through it all, the stars remain. You open your eyes again. The sky above seems even larger now, more distant, more peaceful. You realize that despite all the suffering you have witnessed during your journey through the Middle Ages, there was always something beyond human hardship. The rivers continued to flow, the forests continued to grow, the stars continued to shine. And perhaps that knowledge brought comfort to those who lived so long ago. The fog thickens. The meadow around you slowly disappears into the darkness. The ancient oak tree becomes only a silhouette. Then even that begins to fade. You feel neither fear nor sadness, only peace. A deep, quiet peace, the kind that comes only after a very long journey. As the final stars slowly blur into the night, you allow the medieval world to drift gently away. The fields disappear, the sky disappear, the centuries disappear, and all that remains is the soft, endless silence of sleep. Good night.
Good night. And yet, somewhere between sleep and memory, your journey continues. The stars above the meadow slowly begin to move. Not quickly, not dramatically, but with the quiet certainty of time itself. You remain lying in the soft grass beneath the ancient sky. The air is cool now. The evening breeze carries the scent of earth, distant forests, and the fading warmth of the day. For a long while, you simply watch the stars. You realize that the people of the Middle Ages spent far more time looking at the night sky than most of us ever do. They had no streetlights, no glowing screens, no cities bright enough to hide the stars. The sky was their companion, their calendar, their map, and sometimes their source of hope. Perhaps 800 years ago, someone stood in this very meadow and looked up at these same stars. Perhaps they wondered what tomorrow would bring. Perhaps they worried about the coming winter. Or perhaps after a long and difficult day, they simply enjoyed the rare peace of a quiet evening. You will never know, but somehow that uncertainty feels comforting. The night grows deeper.
A soft fog begins to settle across the fields. The world becomes quieter still. Even the wind seems to slow. In the distance, you hear the faint sound of a shepherd guiding his animals home. The sound drifts across the countryside, then fades. You think about all the people whose lives unfolded in places like this. Not kings, not queens, not famous warriors, ordinary people. People who spent their days planting seeds, repairing roofs, preparing meals, caring for children, and hoping that the next season would be kinder than the last. History rarely remembers their names, yet they were the ones who carried the world forward. You close your eyes. For a moment, you imagine the passing of centuries. Seasons change, winters arrive and disappear. Children become parents, parents become grandparents. Villages grow, villages disappear. Castles rise, castles fall, empires come and go, and through it all, the stars remain. You open your eyes again. The sky above seems even larger now, more distant, more peaceful. You realize that despite all the suffering you have witnessed during your journey through the Middle Ages, there was always something beyond human hardship. The rivers continued to flow, the forests continued to grow, the stars continued to shine. And perhaps that knowledge brought comfort to those who lived so long ago. The fog thickens. The meadow around you slowly disappears into the darkness. The ancient oak tree becomes only a silhouette. Then even that begins to fade. You feel neither fear nor sadness, only peace. A deep, quiet peace. The kind that comes only after a very long journey. As the final stars slowly blur into the night, you allow the medieval world to drift gently away. The fields disappear, the sky disappear, the centuries disappear, and all that remains is the soft, endless silence of sleep. Good night.
Or perhaps somewhere far beyond sleep, good morning. You are no longer certain how much time has passed. The medieval world has become less like a place and more like a memory. Yet somehow you find yourself there once again. This time it is winter. A gentle snow falls across the countryside. Not a storm, not the harsh, unforgiving winter you have heard so much about during your journey. Just a quiet snowfall. You stand at the edge of a small village. The roofs of the houses are covered in white. Smoke rises slowly from chimneys into the cold evening air. The world feels softer now, quieter. The sound of your footsteps disappears beneath the snow. For a while, you simply walk. No destination, no purpose, only the peaceful rhythm of movement. The village around you is preparing for the night. Through small windows, you see the warm glow of candlelight. Families gather around fires. A child laughs. A dog curls up near a doorway. Someone closes a wooden shutter against the cold. These are not grand historical moments. No king will record them. No chronicler will write about them. And yet, they feel important. Because this is what most of history truly was. Not battles, not coronations, not great events, but evenings like this. Ordinary people trying to stay warm, trying to keep their families safe, trying to make it through another winter. You continue walking through the village. Snowflakes drift slowly around you. The church tower rises above the rooftops. Its bell does not ring. Tonight, even time itself seems to be resting. You stop beside a small house. Inside, an elderly man sits by the fire. His eyes are closed. Perhaps he is sleeping. Perhaps he is remembering. You wonder what stories he carries, what winters he has survived, what joys he has experienced, what sorrows he has endured. You will never know, and somehow that feels right. History does not give us every answer. It only offers us brief glimpses. A firelight through a window, a footprint in the snow, a voice carried away by the wind. The snow continues falling. The village grows quieter. One by one, the lights begin to disappear. A candle extinguishes, then another, and another. Soon only a few remain. The sky above is filled with clouds, hiding the stars. Yet the darkness does not feel frightening. It feels gentle, protective, as though the entire world has wrapped itself in a blanket of silence. You walk beyond the village and into the open fields. The snow stretches endlessly before you. The wind barely whispers. There are no roads, no signs, no destinations, only peace. You stop and look back one final time. The village is now little more than a handful of distant lights, tiny reminders of the countless human lives that have come before us. Lives filled with hardship, lives filled with hope, lives that, despite everything, continued. The snow falls more softly now. The lights grow dimmer. The world grows quieter. And as the final traces of the medieval winter fade into the darkness, you allow yourself to drift even deeper into rest. The journey is no longer behind you. The journey has become a dream, and the dream at last becomes sleep.
The journey has become a dream, and the dream at last becomes sleep. Yet somewhere within that sleep, you become aware of a sound. Not a frightening sound, not an urgent sound, just the soft creaking of wooden wheels turning slowly along a distant road. You open your eyes. The snow has stopped. The winter night remains. And far across the white countryside, illuminated by pale moonlight, a single cart moves slowly through the darkness. You do not know where it came from. You do not know where it is going. But somehow you feel compelled to follow. The snow beneath your feet is soft. The air is cold but calm. The moon hangs high above the world, bathing the landscape in silver light. The cart moves steadily, not quickly, not slowly, simply continuing forward, as all journeys eventually must. For a long time, you walk in silence. The only sounds are the turning wheels, the soft breathing of the horse, and the distant whisper of the winter wind. Eventually, the driver notices you. He is an old man. His beard is white. His face is weathered, yet his expression is peaceful. He nods gently, as though he had been expecting you. Without speaking, he gestures toward the empty seat beside him. You climb aboard. The cart continues moving. Still, neither of you speaks. There seems to be no need. The road stretches endlessly before you. Snow-covered fields pass quietly on either side. Far away, beneath the moonlight, you can see the silhouettes of villages sleeping beneath their blankets of winter. After some time, the old man finally speaks. "Did you find what you were looking for?" he asks. You think about the question. At first, you are unsure how to answer. You came to understand the Middle Ages. You came expecting castles, kings, battles, and adventure. Instead, you found something else. You found ordinary people. You found struggle. You found fear. You found hope. And perhaps most importantly, you found endurance. "I think so," you answer quietly. The old man smiles. He nods once. Then both of you return to silence. The moon climbs higher. The night grows deeper. You begin to realize that the road itself is changing. The snow-covered fields slowly fade into mist. The distant villages disappear. Even the stars above seem softer now. The old man does not appear surprised. Perhaps he has traveled this road before. Perhaps he has always traveled this road. You are no longer certain. At last, the cart stops. You step down. Before you stands nothing. Not emptiness, not darkness, simply peace. A peaceful silence stretching farther than you can imagine. You turn to thank the old man, but the cart is already moving away. The wheels turn quietly. The horse walks steadily, and soon they disappear into the silver mist. You stand alone, yet you do not feel lonely. because you finally understand. The journey through the Middle Ages was never really about discovering a different world. It was about discovering the people who lived within it. People who suffered, people who hoped, people who endured, people who continued, just as human beings always have. The mist grows thicker, the night grows softer, and as the final memory of the medieval world gently drifts away, you allow yourself to drift with it. There are no more roads, no more questions, no more journeys, only rest.
Only rest. Good night. And yet, in the quiet space between dreams, one final journey still remains. You become aware of warmth. Not the warmth of a castle fire, not the warmth of a crowded home on a winter evening, but the warmth of the rising sun. Slowly, you open your eyes. You are standing on a hillside. The night has ended. For the first time since your long journey through the Middle Ages began, there is no darkness. There is only dawn. A soft golden light spreads across the world below. The fields stretch toward the horizon. Rivers shimmer in the morning sun. Forests rest beneath a light mist. Small villages, barely visible in the distance, begin waking to another ordinary day. You stand silently and watch. No one is calling your name. No work awaits you. No road demands that you follow it. You have finally arrived at the end. The wind moves gently through the grass. Birds greet the morning. Far away, you hear the faint sound of a church bell. One single bell. Not a warning, not a command. Simply a greeting to a new day. You think about everything you have witnessed. The farmer rising before sunrise, the mother carrying water, the merchant risking dangerous roads, the soldier fearing battle, the healer fighting illness, the prisoner waiting in darkness, the child growing up too quickly, the old man remembering a lifetime of hardship. None of them knew they were living in history. They were simply living. And perhaps that is what makes their stories so important. History was never made only by kings. It was made by everyone, by every person who woke up and faced another uncertain day, by every person who loved despite loss, by every person who hoped despite fear, by every person who continued despite exhaustion. The sun rises higher. The morning mist begins to disappear. The world grows brighter. And suddenly, you realize something. The Middle Ages are not really gone. Not entirely. Their roads may have vanished. Their kingdoms may have fallen. Their castles may have become ruins, but the people remain. Not in body, not in memory, but in us. In our fears, in our hopes, in our determination to continue.
You take one final look at the landscape before you. The fields, the rivers, the forests, the villages, the sky. All of it beautiful, all of it temporary, just as every human life has always been. The wind becomes softer, the sunlight becomes warmer, the distant bell rings one final time. Then, very slowly, the world begins to fade, not into darkness, but into light. The fields disappear, the villages disappear, the hills disappear, until there is only warmth, only peace, and the comforting knowledge that every journey, no matter how long, eventually finds its ending. You close your eyes, you breathe, and at last, after traveling across centuries of hardship, hope, fear, and resilience, you allow yourself to rest. The journey is over, the story is complete, and the morning has finally arrived. Good night.
Or perhaps, somewhere far beyond sleep, good morning. You are no longer certain how much time has passed. The medieval world has become less like a place and more like a memory. Yet somehow, you find yourself there once again. This time, it is winter. A gentle snow falls across the countryside. Not a storm, not the harsh, unforgiving winter you have heard so much about during your journey. Just a quiet snowfall. You stand at the edge of a small village. The roofs of the houses are covered in white. Smoke rises slowly from chimneys into the cold evening air. The world feels softer now, quieter. The sound of your footsteps disappears beneath the snow. For a while, you simply walk. No destination, no purpose, only the peaceful rhythm of movement. The village around you is preparing for the night. Through small windows, you see the warm glow of candlelight. Families gather around fires. A child laughs. A dog curls up near a doorway. Someone closes a wooden shutter against the cold. These are not grand historical moments. No king will record them. No chronicler will write about them. And yet, they feel important. Because this is what most of history truly was. Not battles, not coronations, not great events, but evenings like this. Ordinary people trying to stay warm, trying to keep their families safe, trying to make it through another winter. You continue walking through the village. Snowflakes drift slowly around you. The church tower rises above the rooftops. Its bell does not ring. Tonight, even time itself seems to be resting. You stop beside a small house. Inside, an elderly man sits by the fire. His eyes are closed. Perhaps he is sleeping. Perhaps he is remembering. You wonder what stories he carries, what winters he has survived, what joys he has experienced, what sorrows he has endured. You will never know. And somehow,
That feels right. History does not give us every answer. It only offers us brief glimpses. A firelight through a window, a footprint in the snow, a voice carried away by the wind. The snow continues falling. The village grows quieter. One by one, the lights begin to disappear. A candle extinguishes, then another, and another. Soon only a few remain. The sky above is filled with clouds, hiding the stars. Yet the darkness does not feel frightening. It feels gentle, protective, as though the entire world has wrapped itself in a blanket of silence. You walk beyond the village and into the open fields. The snow stretches endlessly before you. The wind barely whispers. There are no roads, no signs, no destinations, only peace. You stop and look back one final time. The village is now little more than a handful of distant lights, tiny reminders of the countless human lives that have come before us. Lives filled with hardship, lives filled with hope, lives that, despite everything, continued. The snow falls more softly now. The lights grow dimmer. The world grows quieter. And as the final traces of the medieval winter fade into the darkness, you allow yourself to drift even deeper into rest. The journey is no longer behind you. The journey has become a dream, and the dream at last becomes sleep.
And the morning has finally arrived. Good night. Before the final echoes of this long journey disappear completely, there is one last thing to remember. For thousands of years, countless people lived, worked, loved, feared, hoped, and dreamed in the world you have just visited. Most of them never became famous. Most of them never appeared in history books. Most of their names have been lost to time. And yet, they mattered. The farmer who planted seeds in the spring, the mother who stayed awake beside a sick child, the merchant who walked dangerous roads, the soldier who longed to return home, the healer who tried to save a life with the little knowledge she possessed, the old man who survived one more winter, the child who looked up at the stars and wondered what tomorrow would bring. They were not extraordinary because they changed history. They were extraordinary because they endured it. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson the medieval world can teach us. Human beings have always faced uncertainty. They have always faced hardship. They have always faced loss. And yet, generation after generation, they continued. They built homes. They raised families. They shared meals. They laughed. They grieved. They hoped. And they carried humanity forward. Tonight, as you leave the medieval world behind, take one final look upward. Imagine the endless night sky stretching above the fields,
villages, forests, and castles of long ago. Imagine the millions of people who stood beneath that same sky. People who never knew your name. People whose names you will never know. And yet, across the centuries, you are connected. By fear, by hope, by love, by resilience, by the simple and extraordinary experience of being human. The fires have gone out. The roads are empty. The bells have fallen silent. The stars slowly fade as dawn arrives. And somewhere far away in the past, the medieval world quietly continues without us. Thank you for traveling through history. Thank you for walking its roads, sharing its hardships, and remembering its people. Now the journey is truly over. The story is complete. The night has passed, and at last, after centuries of wandering through memory, history, and dreams, you may finally rest. Good night and goodbye.